The sharp chill of the hall wasn't from air conditioning. June's throaty drafts seeped beneath the doors and into the bones. I sat at the front, hands on my knees, as everyone in the pews or creaking plastic chairs seemed to lean forward, waiting for the punchline of the Sunday meeting. Even the church's stained glass light felt critical and watching. Pastor Nkosi's voice, always bigger than the room, rang out, "So, Sifo, tell us again, what will you be when you grow up?" There it was. Laughter tight in the throats of the uncles and lighter on the lips of the aunties. My mother looked away, worry carving a line between her eyebrows. My father, stiff, stared straight ahead like he hadn't heard. I tried to sit taller, but it wouldn't make me older or stronger. I want to build machines that learn, Pastor, computers that can help us solve problems. He tilted his head, his robes brimming around his hunched shoulders. Like robots or those, he waved a hand, cartoon things. Auntie Zainal steepled her fingers. He wants to make machines think better than people, Pastor, haha. Next, he'll want a computer to pray for him. Another round of laughter. My face burned. I couldn't catch anyone's eye but felt every gaze like a pointed stick. The worst was my cousin Thabo, a year older and already a hero on the soccer field. He smirked, nudging his friend Simphu. Nkosi folded his hands. Sifo, fixing broken computers is useful, a good trade, but this, artificial what? I answered, voice shaky but audible, artificial intelligence, AI. Chairs shuffled as people leaned to whisper. The word sounded odd even to me under this roof with its leaking ceiling and the old embroidered cross above the altar. So you'll be, he pressed. An AI engineer, I said, unable to help the way my chest swelled with the saying. There was silence, a kind that crackles, then laughter again, though edged now. "Ari, child," someone behind me called out, "only clever children in America make those things, we need jobs. We don't have time to play with toys." Jumaizo, a retired mine worker, pointed a stubby finger. "Even the cleverest children here go to university to become doctors, or else they starve." "You'll see, Wiener." Pastor Nkosi sighed, a patient shepherd. "Let's remember Jeremiah, for I know the plans I have for you, but remember also, by their fruits you shall know them. Show us, Sifo, not just talk. Next year come back with something we can see." They all nodded, certain, with that vague pity older people give to earnest children. The meeting moved on, but the word AI engineer stayed in the air, sticky and strange as spilled syrup. I sat quietly, hands pressed together until my knuckles ached, and waited for release. Afterwards, my mother squeezed my shoulder outside on the steps. "These things take time, Sifo, let them talk," she tried to smile. My father walked a little ahead, wind pressing his jacket tight to his back. I told myself, there among the loose stones and scrubbing sounds of brooms inside, that one day I'd return with something no one could laugh at. Youth felt like a road lined with potholes, scraped knees, and slow, hard alarm clocks. At school, I visited the Kaya library often, requesting books that seemed to come only every third blue moon. The librarian, Miss Mallope, watched as I pored over borrowed magazines about the internet, robotics contests in Cape Town, stories of the world beyond Hillbrow's battered flats. My teachers wanted me on a safer path. Mr. Mabaso, maths, tried to explain, "You are clever, Sifo, do actuarial science or accounting, something South Africa needs." At home, after supper, Mother always gave me extra candles. She caught my secrets, pages of code scribbled on the backs of school notices, without ever mentioning them. At 16, I entered a national science fair, submitting a prototype chatbot running off an old desktop rescued from the neighbor's bin. I called it Lesedi after my grandmother. It greeted users in isiZulu, answered simple questions about library hours, and played music. When I set it up at the expo in Sandton, my station was wedged between a solar-powered insect zapper and a girl demonstrating compost in soft drink bottles. Most people blinked at my explanation. Some asked if it could pass their exams for them. One elderly teacher told me to make it more Christian. But a quiet woman from the university stopped by, listened, then asked, "Do you understand neural nets?" I did not. She smiled, handed me a card. "Come see us when you're ready, don't give up." I memorized her name, Dr. Josephine Modice. I didn't win a medal, but on the bus home, sandwiched between other tired, hopeful kids, I felt lighter than I'd been in ages. After school, I worked 2 jobs, teaching kids maths at the library and selling SIM cards near the taxi rank. Thabo laughed when he walked by in his banking suit, telling his friends, "See, now Sifo fixes phones." Not so clever AI, I didn't argue. There was no point, not when the work paid my data bills. At night, I taught myself Python, borrowed phone hotspots, hung on forums with strangers in New Delhi and Ohio. At 20, a bursary landed in my lap. RecTech is launching its first AI fellowship for Black engineers, women and township applicants encouraged. My hands shook as I filled out the form, worrying my English would trip me up. I didn't tell anyone about the interview, not even my mother. The panel was on Zoom. I wore my father's one good shirt over faded tracksuit bottoms. Dr. Modice was there, smiling on the screen. "You made quite an impression in 2017, she said. "Show us what you've learned." I did. Weeks later, as a crust of frost crisped the grass, an email dinged on my phone at dawn. "We are delighted to inform you." That morning, against the routine clang of taxis and the faint smell of paraffin from kitchen stoves, I allowed myself a long, ragged cry. My mother found me, wrapped her arms around me, and let me sob until the sun burned mist off the fields. The fellowship was a flurry of numbers and caffeine. RecTech was all glass and green plants, 20 stories above Johannesburg's grey bustle. I learned more in a few months than in my entire schooling: real machine learning, working databases, training tools to spot medical errors in X-rays, apps to predict droughts in Limpopo. The city outside these offices was different, but inside there were others like me: Zainal from Vosloorus, Samuel who'd soldered his own first circuit board, Lee who ran mentorship clubs for girls in Mame Lodi. Sometimes on the bus home at night, I'd close my eyes and remember that cold church hall, every face doubting, every snicker at AI engineer. I let it sting for a moment, then fade. I owed them nothing, but I owed myself the patience to keep going. After the first year, RecTech offered me a real job. 2 years later, our small team pitched a project that landed funding, a language app that could understand South Africa's 11 official languages and translate in real time, even through static or thick accents. We named it UlimiLink, Language Connects. I became lead developer at 24. The press came, and then the investors, European and local, and then the buyout. Suddenly there was money in my account, articles about our bright local talent, invitations to speak in Berlin and Lagos. My phone flooded with messages, people who'd ignored me for years. Even Thabo, "Saw you on TV, cousin," he messaged. "When are you buying me lunch?" And then there was Pastor Nkosi requesting my presence for the church's anniversary. This time I said yes. Return is never as you plan it. The winter mist was familiar, but the taxis blocking Main Road weren't. The church, new paint but same leaks, was decorated with balloons and plastic bunting. Inside, people gathered in their best. Aunties wore headwraps brighter than the stained glass. Uncles crowded near the urn for tea. I stood at the edges, unnoticed, watching as children chased each other between the pews. It was almost too easy to fade into the crowd, but Nkosi spotted me. "There he is, Sifo," he called, and heads swiveled, threads of recognition tightening. Soon the buzz was real. "He's back, he's the one from TV." He ushered me to the front where the old chairs were arranged for guests. "Family, today we honor someone who came from among us, someone who proves that dreamers can serve their community too." His voice rolled out grand, practiced. I sat, conscious of every eye. Beside me my mother dabbed her eyes. My father, in a borrowed blazer, nodded slightly, proud in a way he'd never found words for. Pastor Nkosi spoke of hard work, faith, patience. "And now," he said, "Sifo will tell us, what is this, Al?" I smiled to myself before standing. I told them what I'd built, but simpler in isiZulu and English. I explained how UlimiLink helped doctors diagnose faster in clinics shackled by poor internet, how shopkeepers used it to call suppliers without confusion, how grandmothers spoke into battered phones and sent voice notes in Swati that came out Sesotho at the far end. Some looked skeptical, then I cued the demonstration. I called for volunteers. Thabo came forward, swaggering a little. Auntie Zainal grinned, arms crossed. I handed Thabo my phone. "Speak to her in Swana. Ask her something ordinary, about the weather maybe." He did, grinning for the audience. The phone beeped. A second later, the translated voice responded in isiZulu. "Go dilo bo mongwi bar feditsi go ray pula etla na." "Hello, some say rain is coming." A hush followed by "Yo." Auntie Zainal tried next, her thickest vendor. The translation came clean and quick. The crowd stepped closer, leaning in. Dumaizo called out, "Ask it if I'll win the lotto." Laughter all around, but I had the phone respond. "If I could predict the lotto, I would be rich too, Dumaizo." Even he choked on a surprised laugh. I saw faces shift from amusement to awe, confusion to delight. Eyes widened. Children crowded in, asking if it could sing, if it could talk to their homework, if it could talk to God. I told them the truth, not yet, but one day maybe. The applause wasn't deafening, but it was real, slow at first, then swelling. People rose to their feet. My mother's smile was radiant, luminous in the hall's dusty light. One by one the doubters came. Auntie Zainal wiped her eyes. "Forgive me, Sifo, it is good what you have built." Dumaiso clapped my shoulder. "Maybe you can teach my grandson, or fix my phone when it gets confused." Even Thabo sheepish folded me in a strong, awkward hug. "You did it, cousin, proud, really I am sorry, and there were no clever jokes this time." Pastor Nkosi, arms wide, drew me briefly into an embrace. "I hope you know I only ever wanted God's best for you, son. Sometimes angels come dressed as troublemakers." His smile was tired but honest. Afterwards, a line formed. Neighbors, teachers, the younger kids I used to tutor. Some just wanted a handshake or a selfie. Others asked if I could fix their computers or help their children find the same path. I made my way outside into the late morning light. Johannesburg's sun was sharp, breaking through the clouds, painting the corrugated roofs silver and gold. My mother came to stand beside me, shoulders touching. "Are you staying?" she asked quietly. I shook my head. "I have to go back for now. There's more to build, but I won't forget you." She nodded, a single tear slipping down her cheek. "We won't forget you either." I stood there a while, feeling the hard, cool ground beneath my feet, the weight of the past, the stretch of years, the warmth of simple acceptance. The voices inside faded into music and laughter. It wasn't triumph, it was something gentler, like the slow mending after a long fracture, not forgiveness exactly, but a settling, a peace. I turned to go. The walk to the taxi rank felt shorter than before, the path smoother. Behind me, the church's windows glowed with bright-colored light, red and blue and dusty yellow, patched together, resilient like memory. I carried that quiet blessing with me out into the city's noise, ready to start again.